So I guess this is it. We're starting now. Thank you, Eric. Hi, my name is Robert Falcione. I'm the editor of hopnews.com. And we are at our regular Friday night presentation of Live on Main, 6 p.m. every Friday. We might be a couple minutes late. And I'm here with two candidates for the planning board. And these are both 5-year terms. These are two of the 4 candidates for the position. Amy Ritterbusch and Gary Trendel to the right. And so we're going to have a great time tonight. We want to know about each person. And I would say ladies first. A rose between two thorns. and all kinds of other cliches.
Okay,
Amy
good.
Ritterbusch, folks.
So go ahead and give a little opening statement about.
Yeah, I just like to know about you, and then we'll ask Gary about him, and then we'll, the bell will go off, and
Okay.
you get in the ring, and
Alrighty.
Arm wrestling later?
Yes, arm
Okay,
wrestling.
good.
Yes.
All right. So I'm Amy Ritterbusch. I've lived in Hopkinton for 13 years. I have 3 kids in the schools in grades 11, 9, and 6. Let's see. I've served in a lot of volunteer roles in town over the years. Most recently, I'm on the Design Review Board, which is an advisory board to the Planning Board, and I'm the chair of the Historic District Commission. I'm finishing my 3rd year on the Historic District. Let's see. I live in the downtown area, so the downtown is near and dear to my heart. I really like walking in the downtown area and walking on the Center Trail. And, being in the Historic District Committee, it makes me very conscious of things going on in the Historic District as well.
And we do want to mention that you spend a lot of time on your informational website, EHOP01748, which is the follow-up to Educate Hopkinton.
Correct.
So I know you spend a lot of time
Especially
with
at
that.
town meeting time of year.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else that you wanted to say?
I think that's all I've got for now.
Alrighty. And Gary.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Gary Trendel. I've lived in Hopkinton for almost 10 years. I also have 3 kids. I have 3 daughters that are 13, 10, and just turned 6. As far as involvement with town, I try to pick things pretty carefully about things that I'm really passionate about. I've been active in the Hopkinton youth sports, soccer, basketball, softball, coaching all 3 of my kids. I was previously on the Upper Charles Trails Committee. It's cycling and running are things that are very, very important to me. And now I'm running for planning board, and something I'm really excited about. Actually just changed jobs at the start of the year, which has enabled me to commit more time to our town. And I think planning board plays really well to my background, formerly as a civil engineer, and just having a lifelong interest in planning and helping make stronger communities. So thanks, Robert, for having us, and look forward to our discussion.
Very good. Now, would you? I keep hearing about the trails. Is there? Do either one of you know if there's some sort of problem with the ongoing issue with trails?
Start it with me too.
I can start.
Okay.
I think several years ago that the selectmen made the decision to form a new committee, the Upper Charles Trails Committee, and that was done as part of a broader multi-town effort to create a 26-mile loop between the towns of Milford, Hopkinton, Ashland, Sherborne, and Holliston. And I think it's definitely been much harder than people have realized. And the unfortunate reality is that the old rail bed, the right of way for it, it goes across many, many private properties. Houses have been built very close to it. It's really not an intact entity anymore. And that has created a lot of complexity with where the trail should be routed, how to bring it into the Center Trail, which is our longest existing maintained trail in town at this point in time. And that's created some problems. I know that there's a lot of sensitivity about where it's routed, how close it is to people's yards, while still trying to maintain some level of connectivity. But I think in general, for me, it's just, as an advocate, I think trails, they get people out, they get people exercising, people talk to each other when they're running and walking on trails, maybe not as much in cars. And I think overall, it's a great thing for our town to have to improve or increase our investment in these ways of connecting people.
Amy, how would you articulate troubles that you see with the trails? I assume that you're both connected to the same source of information, or sources.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that there has been a lot of the neighbors are a little concerned about the trail, and maybe it came to a surprise to them. 'Cause, not everybody goes to town meeting and doesn't remember that we voted on these things, but then when they found out about it later, they were upset. But I'm hoping that over time that accommodations can be made and the trail can be, make everyone happy, that there can be enough buffer between properties and the trail, so that there's not really so much of a concern. I understand people are concerned that people might park in front of their houses and then walk in front of their houses. And then the dog park, will that be noisy or not? So there's a lot of unknowns. But we do have a good, I really enjoy the Milford Bike Trail and the Holliston Bike Trail. We do those with my family. And we have a good friend, a coworker of my husband's, who lives in Milford. And he lives very near the Milford Trail. And he was very nervous at first when they proposed bringing it in. But he said now that it's there, he loves it, he uses it. And he was really impressed with how they did a good job setting a buffer zone between his house and the trail. And so that's a good outcome, and I hope that similar compromises can be reached here.
Okay. Do you know of any specific areas or specific homes or specific properties that this has to be done with?
So I think that it's in the Charlesview area that the trail, as it comes from Milford, comes out right in front of someone's house, I believe, and then they would have to walk through Charlesview, if I understand correctly.
Wow.
So I can just clarify that they haven't established a final route for it yet. They are looking at multiple options, and really the question comes down to whether they go on the east side or the west side of Hayden Row. So correct, if they were to stay on the west side, which is where the old railroad bed is, then there is more impact to Charlesview neighborhood. If they stay on the east side and actually would connect the Cornell's Fields, the new school, EMC Park, then there's less housing impact on that route. But if I could just add one more, I think the other point of contention is with regards to the size of the trail, and that has to do with, in some part, with how much state funding we get. So that's another, I know, point of contention with some of the Charlesview folks, that they don't want a big paved 12-foot wide trail going very close to the backyard, but that's part of the process of how they fund it and what they do with it, and those are things that the committees are working through now.
Well, just to make a point of information, when you build something on a railroad bed or some property that someone else owns, or you build in an area where you should have had a variance because it's within the setbacks or outside the setbacks, you can't get any relief in court because you've created your own problem. So the courts have been known not to grant relief to people. I'm not an attorney. Remember that, I'm not an attorney. Do not take this advice. Even the attorneys say that, I think.
Yeah.
They don't say I'm not an attorney, but they say, no, this is not legal advice, because they don't give it away. So you have some, Amy, which one would you favor? The eastern side or the western side?
I actually don't think I have a real strong preference as long as we can get the most people on board with it. I like it to connect from Milford all the way through to the schools, because I think that makes it a lot safer for people to walk and get them off the roads. And I think everyone would enjoy it, but I don't think I have a preference for which side of Hayden Row.
Now, there's been a lot of building in town, Gary. There's been a lot of controversy over the building. And the rapid pace of it, and we've heard Ken and others say that it just happened to be at this time, that a lot of it's come together at the same time, economy-wise, and so forth. How do you feel about the pace of it right now, and would it have been done any better?
Well, it certainly feels fast, and I think that for a lot of reasons, Hopkinton is a very attractive place to live. It's an attractive place for developers to build homes, and given the housing market right now, there's a desire to build faster. But hopefully, as my perspective on the planning board is that for the planning board's job is in many ways to be a steward for the town, and part of that comes with assessing proposals and seeing how they are aligned with the zoning bylaws and requirements. And part of that is looking long term and establishing those bylaws in a way that help make our town help continue or help ensure that our town stays to be a desirable place to live.
Now, I've said this before. A lot of people get into politics and elections because all of a sudden they find that they have a dog in the fight. And there is a new development going in between Chamberlain Street and it's in the works of gaining approval between Chamberlain Street and Wayland Road. And I know that you live on Chamberlain Street.
I do.
Would this in any way be the impetus for your running to look after your own interests?
It's part of it. Like I said before, I've always had an interest in planning. My previous role, I couldn't commit to to meeting with the frequency that the planning board requires, or the time commitment that's required. I think everybody that's involved in town in a town role has some impetus to get them involved. And by all means, with this one, as I came in, it sort of ignited a passion that is really important to me. But I'll say that this is far from the only reason I'm running. I think we all had a trigger of some kind. Just to be clear, I will be recusing myself from, if I'm elected, from any discussions. I think it's the right thing to do. And I also say that this is one of the reasons that I chose to run for the 5-year seat, is because I wanted to make sure people knew that I'm running because of my interest in planning, because of my belief in Hopkinton's future. Not because of this one proposal that candidly could have a very big impact on my family.
And Amy, how about you? What was the catalyst for you becoming involved in politics in the first place, and especially the planning board? This is your second shot at the planning board, right?
No.
There
were some vacancies. Yes.
Right, you put yourself out there for an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, a year or so ago?
Yeah, probably just about a year ago.
Yeah, and so you have a fire in your belly here for this.
Yeah.
And where did that originate?
I don't know. Well, through my nonprofit work, we follow the town meeting very closely and all the issues going on in town, and I've been following it for several years. And when when I saw that there were seats open, I was really hesitant, but then I put my name in for the appointment at the very last minute, and understandably I didn't get it because I should have put my name in earlier probably. But then this time I saw there were 4 seats open, and I thought, this is a really good chance. There's currently no women on the planning board. I think they could use a little more diversity in that area. And, I think I'm the right woman for the job. I think I've studied the issues in detail, and being on the design review board really helps me. I've seen a lot of the plans the planning board has seen over the past year, and I think I'm familiar with most of the issues.
Well, what difference would a woman make? I mean, just being a woman, why do you believe a woman is needed in one of the seats?
I think just in anything, there's always diversity of thought. It changes the tone, the more different types of people that are at the table. And, there were a lot of people that have been on there for a long time, and I think it's time to have some new perspectives.
Okay, Gary, any perspective on that? I mean, I know you are a man and you want to win the seat, but
I'm a big believer in diversity. I think you need people from different perspectives that live in different parts of town, that have different backgrounds. And in some ways, while gender is does not necessarily mean that people think any differently. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think it's just good representation. I think we should have more women on the planning board. So, yeah.
Well, there's one running, so
there's 2 running.
Oh wait, there's another
There's
one
really
too.
3.
Oh, Muriel, that's right.
And Kelly as well. That's a good point. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but she's not opposed, is she?
Correct.
She's unopposed.
She'll definitely.
Yeah. So there's the woman.
Right.
And then you want to be the other one too.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me stick with Amy for a second.
Sure.
Vision of the town in 20 years. What do you see?
Oh, well, we want to keep our great schools for sure. let's see. And I'd like to see the downtown a little more revitalized. I think the library project is going to help with that when it's done, because I think more and more people will be going to the library, and then while they're there, they can go to shops and restaurants and do other things downtown. The center school reuse is a big issue. So they're forming a committee now to decide what's going to happen with the center school, and then hopefully that can also bring some vitality to the downtown. Let's see, what else? Hopefully a little bit better traffic situation. I think we've grown so quickly. I don't think the traffic has caught up with the development, especially, a lot of accidents in Lumber Street, West Main Street area. And I'm hearing that there's a lot of accidents now at Franklin Road, Legacy Farm North intersection with East Main.
Wow.
So, so I'd like to see a little bit better traffic planning and safety, which the downtown corridor project should help with the safety of traffic and pedestrians in the downtown.
Right, and that there's another phase of the traffic light, and that the road is going to be widened there by CVS and straightened out as much as they can, and still leave CVS with two-way traffic there on the eastern side. Gary, how about you? What's your vision for the next 20 years?
Yeah,
in 20 years, what do you want to say?
I'm excited about where things are going to be in 20 years. I think that the downtown project is a great start. I like what they're doing with in particular with the bike path and making it more pedestrian and bicycle friendly. To Amy's point, the library I think is going to be a tremendous asset. The new school. What I hope that we can bring is really comes down to bringing more anchors for the broader population. So, I think it's one of the reasons that so many of us live here is because of the schools. But I think it's important to have more than just good schools to give people a reason to live here. And we're fortunate we have, we have 3 Great Lakes, not Great Lakes, but we have 3 really nice lakes. We do have great outdoor resources and a state park, but I think that one of my goals is to really give people a reason to stay here beyond when their kids graduate from schools. And how do you do that? I think that comes with downtown revitalization. I think there's an opportunity potentially maybe with YMCA facilities, with more restaurants and some other things that just overall improve the quality of life for the full demographic of people that live here.
How do you do that?
It's a good question. I can't say that I have all the answers. I'm fairly new to this. I have some ideas. I think just as some examples, I think that's one reason the downtown revitalization project is important. It's going to be a little painful in the process, but making that a more attractive, desirable place, giving people more access to it is fantastic. I don't know a lot about this, but I have heard that the YMCA, the Metro West YMCA, is looking to build a new facility. And given some of the land that we have over at Legacy Farms, seems like it might be a great place to do something like that.
Oh, you mean not expand their current?
No, they would actually build
elsewhere.
They would build a standalone year-round YMCA facility like what they have in Franklin, like what they have in Framingham. They are looking at Ashland right now as a potential site. But I think that if we could bring something like that, not a summer camp, but a full traditional YMCA facility, that would bring a swimming pool, that brings fitness facilities, that brings community facilities, and it brings services for again the full age demographic from young kids and teenagers to people in their middle ages to the elderly as well.
People from the Middle Ages. That's then you want like one of those fairs like they have.
King Richard's Fair.
Yeah, King Richard's Fair.
The
Middle Ages back. No,
I have a little bit to add to that if you.
Oh, please
if you
do.
like.
Yeah, you were next.
Yeah, in addition to the library and the downtown revitalization, I think the Center for the Arts is a good opportunity for people of all ages. Like the trivia night I went to there a few weeks ago, it was just all different ages. It was not just parents of children in the schools, which when you go to the PTA or HEF events, it's really just parents of school-age children. But the Center for the Arts, all the events I've been to there have been multi-age, people without kids, people with empty nesters. What else is, I know they're thinking of maybe doing some kind of international marathon center in the East Hopkinton. I think that could bring, tourism in, and then they could spend money at our shops and restaurants. And that would be a benefit to the town in all ages. And I believe there's a tennis club in the works for Lumber Street area, and that's another thing that would, appeal to a variety of ages.
Well, there was, and I thought there was an agreement, but I haven't seen.
I think it's on hold.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
think-
on hold
I
at
think
the
you're right.
moment.
Oh, I wonder why. Do you know why?
I've heard rumors, but nothing that I can.
Oh
speak
well,
to.
no rumors here. This is rumor free.
They did
The
apply
rumor-free zone.
to the design review board for a sign, so I know that. But,
Oh.
but I don't know.
Was that long ago?
Within the past year,
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I know about that. I'm just wondering why they haven't really.
broken ground. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they cleared the land, but they haven't turned the spade for a building yet. So that'll be fun when that happens.
Yes.
Now we've heard also talk about the International Marathon Center being by the highway. What do you do about parking? Has anyone thought of that? Amy, how about you? Have you thought of that? Parking for the downtown? Because that seems to be.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
Center School, though, uses up a lot of the parking right now. The teachers, they can't fit all their cars in the back of Center School, so they park all around the common and the side streets. But when Center School is no longer a school, I think that's going to free up a lot of parking. But there's definitely a lack of parking in the downtown, and when they redraw the spaces, could be a problem when they redo the downtown corridor.
Right, they're going to take a lot of spaces out.
Well, I went to the recent update I went to. It's really just a net loss of a few. They worked it out a little better.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
The
in
parking
state-
spots are moving, so there's some that are in desirable spots that are being moved or relocated elsewhere.
Yeah.
But in terms of the total number of
Yeah.
spots,
Counted elsewhere?
well-
They'll be counted, not really moved.
Yeah.
Right, to be counted
People have to
elsewhere.
walk.
So, right.
But an interesting thing at the last meeting I went to about that, the state is thinking of changing the parking requirements. Instead of delineating spots being 20 feet long each, that they might just make a long segment that's supposed to fit 5 cars-ish, but not demarcated between. So if you have a little Prius here and then a giant SUV,
Right.
that you can fit in better.
Yeah.
Apparently that's a better model
Well,
for planning.
they've actually done that in Oxford.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't seen
these like I know it's like I thought. Wait a minute, is this the?
Yeah, are you in the right spot? Is
Well, what do they call that on the side of the road? That line,
the
the fog line.
Okay.
So I didn't know if it was a fog line,
Yeah.
6 feet from the curb, or if it was a parking space. But what I did is I assumed it was a parking space then,
And didn't get a ticket.
and I used it for that. Right. So
can I just say one more thing about that too, about the parking?
Sure.
I know that we've been in talks with one of the restaurants in town about building a municipal lot behind their place of business. I don't have all the details about how that's fallen through, but it really feels like it's time to revisit that, because it just seems like if we have some additional parking capabilities in town, that just takes a lot of the load off of what is a big concern of the businesses that are located downtown.
Because it could make businesses not want to come here if they feel like there's not adequate parking.
Right, and I know that there is, I'm still in the downtown.
Right, yeah.
My office is still here, but my studio, which I had for 24 years, it's really the type of business that you want to locate. And, photography studios are not as busy as they used to be. So they never needed a lot of spaces anyway. I never needed a lot of spaces because you're going to have one family at a time.
Right, not like a restaurant. But
Right, and so it's a type of businesses, and I think I know the restaurant you're talking about. But the center school, if you were to cut this in half, the center school actually, if you were to say that this right here is the property, I don't even know if the camera can see that, but I've got half of this delineated as where the center school is. There's a school on it. There are 2 driveways. There's recreation in the back, and then there's that woodsy area where the kids might ride bikes or whatever they do, have sports and races and so forth through there. Well, a lot of people don't know, and I did try to inform them during the Fruit Street School fiasco, that there was actually an equal amount of land on the other side of the high tension wires. They're not really high tension wires. They're just tall wooden telephone poles that carry high voltage. But as I was asking these questions, we were told erroneously that there was gas back there. There's no gas back there. That there were wetlands. There were no wetlands on that other 5.5 to 6 acres of that school. So there's a great potential that the town already owns. And so that could be made use of too.
Could be
I'm
an
sorry,
option.
this is your time. So, all right, who wants the next question? What question do you
Sure.
That's
want?
the question.
What question do you want? Okay, so you're long-term committed. Both of you want a 5-year term, and you
Correct.
both want to serve the town. And are you on any other boards, committees, or town, Amy, town committees, or actually even
Volunteer things?
nonprofits? Yeah, volunteer stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I already mentioned Design Review and Historic District. I also am the Advancement Chair for Boy Scout Troop 1, and I'm the Cookie Mom for my daughter's Girl Scout Troop. And let's see, and that Hopkins Middle School Drama Club, I do a lot of work with at both the middle and high school
Are
drama
you
clubs.
were you involved in Article 55 for the Boy Scouts?
I was not, but
Yeah.
particularly that was more George Bradbury, and that's the Hopkins Scout Leaders Association. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I know they were a little surprised at the wording of that article at town meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? In what way?
Well, it's not the same wording as the land, the originally deeded land part of the farm, and then this new land that they gave them on the Fruit Street property, or that they leased to him, was a different, not a deed restriction, but a lease, I think.
Oh, I see. Gary, how about you? Do you have any other stuff that you do that you didn't mention?
So, like I said, I still do a lot of coaching. In currently coaching my daughter's softball team, and my youngest daughter, she's not playing soccer, but I still continue to coach her in the fall. I'm not on any other committees or boards at the moment, but again, previously in the Upper Charles Trails Committee, and then was formerly an age group director for Hopkinton Youth Soccer.
Okay, how are you getting your word out, Gary?
Well, I'm doing it right now. I'm live on Maine.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
You know, so for me, I've really tried to what's important to me is really trying to reach people that I don't already know, and that's where I've put a fairly big emphasis on first and foremost just doing events such as this. I think it's really important that people have the opportunity to get to know their candidates beyond just what shows up in the mail or kind of what signs people see in their yards. Social media presence. I have a Facebook page. I have a web page specifically for my campaign. Just trying to get more information about me. I've done multiple meet and greets around specific topics. And lastly, I've been going door to door as well, just to again try and meet as many people as I can, and particularly those that don't know me.
How about you, Amy? What's the prime way that you're meeting? Because you know a lot of people.
I do, yeah.
So how do you get to the new people that haven't met you yet?
Well, I try to go to a lot of public events, but I went to the Emerge training recently about getting more women to run for office in Massachusetts. And they really recommend the personal contact is the best way to meet voters. So it could be face-to-face, door-to-door, and I've done a lot of that. Personal emails, friend to friend. I have not done calls, but some of my friends have been calling for me. So what I've just been reaching out to my friend group and saying, who do you know that I don't know that you could introduce me to and I could talk to? And then, I've done some door-to-door, I have a Facebook page, let's see. And then just when I am at public events, I'm trying to wear my button so people know who I am. And then people do approach me. I was surprised. I felt funny wearing the button, but people approach me and they go, oh, you're Amy. I have a question about something or another.
I'm going to try that. I have a little button, who I am.
Yeah.
Robert, we all know who
News.
you are.
No.
We always
Don't
have
say
your
that.
camera.
So, anything else that either of you would like to get across before we close?
Oh, just remember to vote. I think that's the thing. And also one thing, the voting entrance, because it's a school day, is at the very back of the gym. So be sure not to go into the door by the auditorium. Go back of the gym.
You want to pitch before Gary pitches?
Okay. Let's see. So I'm a hard worker. I'm detail oriented. I've been studying these issues for a long time, and I'm really good at communication skills, especially electronically. I think the planning board could really improve on that, reaching out to the public before issues arise, because most people come to the planning board when there's an issue that they're upset with. And when things seem to be going well, they don't know what the planning board is doing. Like I attended the master plan public hearing this year and the zoning articles public hearing, and just very few members of the public attend. But yet when they hear how the zoning has been changed, they may be upset. So I want to make sure we're reaching out to people in advance, maybe having not a public hearing at our not just a public hearing at the meeting because that's required, but some kind of event and more social outreach to people so they know what's going on and they can give their input before something's changed.
Gary, you want to close? Please?
Yeah, sure. So, just I guess my big ask to people, and along with what Amy said about get out and vote, is get involved. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the reality is that our town is largely run by volunteers, and I'd say that's been the probably my favorite part of being in this campaign, is just the chance to meet some really fantastic people, including the three that I'm running against, that have committed hundreds if not thousands of hours of their time to our town, and that's what makes it work. That's what's going to make our town great. So get out and vote and get involved. There's a lot of different things you could do. Not all of them take a lot of time, but I assure you that that you will enjoy it. You'll get to meet a lot of great people, and you'll help make our town better.
Very good. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Amy. And thanks to the folks that have tuned in tonight on Live on Main. Remember, Monday is the day that you vote, May 15th. Is it from 7 or 8?
7 a.m.
7 a.m. to
8 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's going to be at the middle school, the back entrance.
Yeah.
All righty. Good night, all. And thank you to my guests for being here and being such great and articulate people. Good night, all.